So what's good, y'all? We back in here with another video. And just 2 videos ago, I discussed how the Orlando Magic have one of the brightest futures in the NBA. So for this video, I decided to continue on that trend about talking about some of the NBA's best young cores, and one of them being the Houston Rockets, where after trading longtime franchise star James Harden back in 2021, have made great rebuilding decisions to help push the franchise in the right direction and be a potential competitor in the future. This young team, led by second-year guard Jalen Green, who had a good rookie season and really picked it up in the second half of the year despite starting off slow, averaged 22 points per game on efficient shooting splits post All-Star break, and really showed you why he is their franchise guy and why he can be one of the best young wings in the game. I mean, you know how I feel already about wings. You need elite wings to compete in the NBA, and the Rockets definitely got an elite talent. They just needed to all come together and for him to make that leap next season. And if he does, then he is definitely their guy. Then you add alongside of Jalen Green a guy in Jabari Smith, who was drafted 3rd overall, and will add a lot of different dynamic for this Rockets team next season, offensively and defensively, and be a great fit for the organization in general. But it's not only those 2 guys that make the Rockets one of the most exciting young teams in the league. It's the other guys on the roster, more specifically their other draft picks from last season like Sengun and Josh Christopher, and then you also take into the fact their later first round picks from this year's draft, and Tari Eason, a guy who many said is a steal and has a lot of potential, and Ty Washington, a guy who was projected to be in the lottery, kind of fell down in the draft because of the year he had in Kentucky, but nonetheless still has potential to be a solid player. So they've made good picks both seasons now, in 2021 and in 2022. Then you got more established players like Kevin Porter Jr. and Jae'Sean Tate, just to name a couple, that produce at a solid level and are also young. It's not like these 2 guys are old. They're young players that produce at a solid rate, so it's never a bad thing to have those guys on your team. But there's another reason why the Rockets rebuild has been gaining so much momentum so fast. And it's because they have so much draft capital for the incoming seasons, especially for next year's draft. As many have said, next year's draft is going to be stacked. And I don't expect the Rockets to have a good season, so those first rounders can be good. And then you got other teams' first rounders along with their own, so you can potentially package that up to move up. Or if the Rockets get the number 1 pick flat out, you can just make another year of selecting 3 first round picks. So it's a win-win scenario. And not only that, they can get more first rounders by trading Eric Gordon this offseason as well. The only thing I preach for Rockets fans is patience. Because even though they've been the worst team in the league these past 2 seasons, when you consider the great progress that they've made in such a quick period of time, getting these top prospects like Jabari Smith, like Jalen Green, that can potentially lead a franchise, and then getting such quality good players that are young and can be good role players in this league to fill out the rest of the team, they should continue to make good progress as long as they keep doing what they're doing. But this team is not going to be a real potential playoff team in the Western Conference for, I'd say, another 2 or 3 seasons. I expect them to be a losing team this year and next year, and maybe the year after that, depending on what happens, because the NBA is so weird like that. Because you got teams that are young just like them that are ready to compete right now in the West. So that's like the main reason why I'd say that, because you look at the Western Conference, you got your teams with your vets that are ready to win, like Golden State, for example, even though they got their own young core that looks pretty solid as well. But you got Golden State, the Clippers, and then not to mention you got teams like Denver and Memphis and Dallas that got young stars, and they're just ready to win like real soon, like they're knocking on the door. So I won't see Houston in that level for a few years, but they're on the rise, and that's all that matters. So that's why I preach patience with this team, because it's not going to come together quick. But with the amount of assets that Houston has to either be in play for a big trade one day if a star ever asks out, or they can continue to bank on the development of the youth by making draft picks and signing young players or signing vets to help the young players develop and be mentors for the team. There's a lot of different ways they can go about it. And the Rockets, this is like the main reason why the Rockets have one of the brightest young futures in the game. And it should not be slept on, because the Rockets are not being talked about only because of the fact that they're probably going to be a bad team next season. And they're not like, the Detroit Pistons, who are knocking on the door of being a playoff team. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on the Rockets because, yeah, they lost James Harden back in 2021, but this team is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with these two guys and Jabari Smith and Jalen Green leading the way for the future. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Link will be down in the description below. This has been a checkup where we talk hoops and hoops only, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.